Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're having a great day today and joining me for this little session of a fantastic vegetarian tart that is available on Cookidoo. All you need to do is search up butternut squash and sage and hazelnut tart, and you will be surprised at how simple this is. Now, it does say that the level is medium, but I don't want you to be fooled by that. Have a read of the recipe, or otherwise just watch this video and see how simple it is. I think the reason that it has been allocated to medium is the fact that there's a number of stages in it. So I'll walk you through these, and please feel free if you have any questions about the specific recipe, please let me know and I'll be happy to help you with that. It is from the UK Collection Family Table, so if you are looking for it and your filter is on your machine or in your Cookidoo app, all you need to do is just adjust that to include the UK in your search as well. So let's get started with this today. I have gone ahead and prepped 2 portions of this recipe, so the first 2 stages, but I will be walking you through each of these so that you can see exactly what needs to be done. So the first thing we're going to do is start off our cooking, preheat our oven to 200 degrees Celsius, all right? And then what we're going to do is weigh in 500 grams of butternut squash. If you're not a fan of butternut squash, it is pretty sweet. You can substitute and use pumpkin instead. If that is all you have in your pantry, absolutely go ahead and use it. So what you're going to do is make sure you peel that skin off, or if you prefer to keep that on, you can, and dice them up to 2 centimeter pieces, and then drizzle over with some olive oil. And also, it does say scatter on some sage leaves, salt, and pepper. Now, what you're looking for is getting some caramelization on the butternut. So for myself, this is my final product. I'm okay with a very small amount of caramelization. Doesn't have to go crazy. And that's basically, it says round about for 30 minutes. I actually put mine in a cold oven and left it for an hour. So it is pretty soft and it smells delicious. So that's the first portion. This is the bulk of your pie or tart. So that portion is prepped. So you can put that in the oven, and while that is cooking, you can then prepare the pastry. So please, this is not a difficult pastry, and it does indicate 100 grams of your plain flour, and the next ingredient to add in is 100 grams of spelt flour. Now, if you don't have spelt flour, don't worry about that. You can just substitute and utilize the plain flour that you already have, and it will work out just as well. The spelt will give it a unique nuttiness. So if you do love your spelt flour, you can obviously have half and half. And then also what you're going to add in is 2 sprigs of your fresh thyme. I didn't have that, so all I did was actually substitute with my dry version instead, just a teaspoon of that. And I must say, it absolutely makes a difference in your pastry. The smell when it's baking, because I do have a finished tart crust here, it does make a massive difference. So you'll add that in and blitz that around for 5 seconds, and speed number 10. And I must confess, I actually did this ahead of time, put that in the fridge because I was super busy today, and then I thought I would be able to do where I could roll it out between 2 wax, your wax paper, your baking paper, and roll it out, but it didn't work. So what I just did was chuck it inside, back inside the bowl, and blitz it up for that speed 10 5-second portion. And then it tells you to add in 75 grams. Sorry, I have a dog that loves to talk, and that's how she talks, so apologies for the noise. 75 grams of unsalted butter, cold and cubed. If you have salted, that's okay as well. It's not a problem. You can use that. 45 grams of water, and make sure that it is cold. Some pinches of your salt, and you're going to blitz this up for, there we go, 15 seconds, speed 5. That was the one that I used. I literally just used that up again, but it makes a beautiful crumble. And it's interesting, usually with a pastry you would have to roll it out and then put it in, fill it in and just press it in. With this, it says to utilize a spring form pan, and I've just gone ahead, mine is pretty warm, so I'm just going to be careful. I have my trusty Pyrex dish that I have used for years, and it came out beautifully. It has a very light brown edge. I just poked holes in the bottom of it and it fit in there beautifully. Like I say, it was a crumbly mixture. You can put it straight in and just use your fingers to manipulate around the edges, and it worked perfectly. So of all the pastry recipes that I've made over the years, I would say this is most probably the easiest to work with. So go ahead and give this a go. Like I say, just prick the fork in the base and make sure that you will cook that for 10 minutes on 200 degrees Celsius. Now, this is the part where we actually get to the filling. It does say to clean your bowl after you've made your pastry. I'm not going to bother with that because I had a couple of crumbs in there. I'm okay with that. And now we're going to do the filling portion. So I was lazy today. Actually, it was the only option available. It's toasted hazelnuts, and it asks for 80 grams. So just pop that in, and this will be quickly blitzed. So 1 second, speed number 6. Super quick. Alright, so transfer this into a bowl, and we will put this in a little bit later, and then I'm just going to show you what that looks like. It's just getting the bigger chunks cut down. I love that I don't have to pull out my trusty rolling pin and do the old-fashioned way, which was using a Glad bag or something else, a Ziploc, and sticking the nuts in and bashing it. None of that. Alright, the next ingredients that we're going to add in is 2 whole cloves of garlic. I've got 3 in here. 5 fresh sage leaves. If you don't have fresh, you can use your dried version as well. And then 80 grams of onions. Alright, pop that in, as well as 30 grams of olive oil. And that will then be blitzed. 5 seconds on speed number 5. And then what we're going to do is scrape that down and cook this for 3 minutes on 110 degrees Celsius. And that will be on speed number 1. So for those of you that haven't seen how quick a Thermi can cut down your onions, how good is that? I love that I don't have to cry anymore. So let's push that up to speed number 1, and that will then be browning at 110 degrees Celsius. So what I'll do is walk you through the rest of the process, or I should say the rest of the ingredients, so that you know what's coming up. We're going to have 150 grams worth of whole milk, and then also 100 grams of feta cheese. Now it does say roughly chopped. I basically just crumbled mine, so I'm not too worried about what the feta cheese is going to look like. I've just crumbled the feta. If you want to add a little bit extra because you love your feta, you can do that, but just make sure that your dish is high enough when you are making the tart, because if you overfill it with your filling, then absolutely it will overflow. But don't be too worried about the feta cheese, just crumble it and make life easy for yourself. And then the next part is to add in 3 large eggs. I've gone ahead and done these ahead of time. Just crack those, and then the beautiful toasted hazelnuts. Now, if you just had the plain hazelnuts and you wanted to process them and toast them, put your oven on 200 degrees Celsius and don't leave the kitchen, because what you want to do is actually get them heated up and roasted. It depends on your oven. It can take between 5 and 15 minutes, sometimes longer, depending on how your oven works. But you can toast those up. It brings out the oils and gives fantastic flavor. So that's to make the hazelnuts that we processed a little bit earlier before the bowl started getting wet. So that's that. We're also going to need, and I'm going to show you my little tip. I know it's going to ask there for a teaspoon of some salt. I am going to sneak in some oregano as well. There's probably half a teaspoon. I know that it does say sage is your main flavoring of this tart, but I love to mix it up a little bit, and hey, who doesn't love a little bit of extra flavor in their food? So don't be shy to adjust the flavoring according to what your family love, and if you want to boost it with some little bit of extras, please do go ahead and do exactly that. It does also call for 1/4 of a teaspoon of black pepper. So if you are a fan of that, you can add that in. Otherwise, just leave that out. So I just want to see how much longer we've got. What I will also explain, I think while that's, I've got 10 seconds, I'm just going to move this over. This is the butternut that I have baked ahead of time, and I will be showing you what it looks like, because we'll pour this filling on over the top of this. All right. So let me just finish this off then. As I mentioned, 150 grams worth of your whole milk. I've got a little bit of almond milk in here, so I'm just finishing this off. And we also use lactose-free in this family. So a bit of that. And then there is the feta cheese, 100 grams worth of that. Next is your 3 eggs, and then the last ingredient is your reserved hazelnuts that have been chopped. It smells so good. All right, there we go. 1 teaspoon of your salt. Next is your pepper. So I'm just going to crush that in. And then this will get blitzed up a couple of seconds. It's 10 seconds on speed number 2. There we go. My hair keeps falling out of my glasses. I should have a little Alice band. I'm growing my hair a bit so it can be put up away from my face. But anyway, now there we go. Distribute. This is your filling. Oh, I wish you could smell this. It smells so beautiful, like really good. All right, I'm just going to push this back. And then explain to you your temperature. So you will put this in now for 25 to 30 minutes. What you want to do is make sure that it is golden. Obviously your eggs must be cooked properly. If you find that your oven is struggling a bit, just add an extra 5 minutes onto that. So all I've done here is just scatter that, let me move that over so you can see. Just scatter the butternut on top, and then pour that filling over it. What it does also say is, if you would like to, you can add your fresh sage. So at this stage, I'm actually also going to do my sprinkling of that oregano just on the top. And then just move that filling. It is quite a thick filling, obviously with the cheese and the onions as well. It smells so good. Wow. I can imagine what this is going to smell like inside the oven. Very, very, very delicious. I'm sure my boys will love this tonight. So there we go. I'm just going to do the last thing. I have some very poor sized sage leaves from my garden. My chili bush has been producing, but not my sage, unfortunately. So all I'm going to do is just tear this with my fingers and sprinkle that across. And then 25 to 30 minutes, as I said, on 200 degrees Celsius. Now, this can be served hot or cold. So depending on when you're going to make this, if you make this early on in the morning, you can actually serve it cold, pulled straight out of the fridge with a beautiful salad. And I really hope you've enjoyed watching this little session today. If so, please share it and give it a thumbs up. I love doing this for my customers, to share and help them to see recipes perhaps that they may find challenging or they haven't tried. And you can see how simple it is to actually make. So I hope you've had a great day today. I'm Bea from Thermomix, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Take care.